Hello, and welcome to another episode of the making of Second Chance Heroes by Rocket City Studios. I'm Eli Platt, lead level designer. And here today we have the first level of the Unknown Path, which is the fourth dungeon, or, seventh level in the Hobo Colony. And this is part one here, and if I could just toggle off all of these things, we could get started with the walkthrough. Or rather, I'll talk about the level for a little bit. So this level was designed earlier on. It wasn't one of the first levels, but this was one of the levels where they really directed what they wanted. They wanted a subway station, or like a series of stations and areas with like cars and things, and so building this, we had kept that in mind. And so without the lighting, it's difficult to tell, but you've essentially got these stations where you come down, and then there's an island in the middle, and so two tracks left and right. And actually, let me take that back. Here is the island where you come down, and then you have your left and right terminal, and then over here, this is just a right terminal, and there is no left terminal because you can't travel over there. And so then there's a third one over here with a left and right terminal. And you've got all these trains, and it's sort of in the middle. We've got, at least on this one, we've got a second level cart coming in here to make sort of a nice little set piece. This particular level wasn't designed with a boss in mind. There is a boss in the level, though. Let me hide my invisible scene objects as well. Make them actually invisible. This level wasn't designed with a boss, and I was still able to put some of my own little kind of touch and feel to this level too. So to go with the walkthrough, or I'll get to all that, is you start here in the first room, you head down the steps out into this area where you can see some trains, and you can climb across the top of them till you get into this little valley here, into your first set piece. After you finish the encounter there, you come to this part here where the trains have come down and crashed into this sort of pile, and the hobos have just built sort of a path over it, kind of showing that this was a disused and abandoned place before even the zombies got here. And then you come across, and here you can see like the hobos, they've built little huts and things between the pillars and all that sort of stuff, and they've got all of their lights strung up everywhere, just using pipes that they've stuck into the wall. This area over here, this whole strip, was added to the level later on because they decided the level was too narrow and too linear. This level was designed, the first level designed after the decision to go to super short, like 4-minute dungeons was made. And so this level was designed to be very short. It's kind of hard to show a size of scale because you can't really show it next to another level because you can't load 2 levels at once. But this level was made much smaller, and then we decided 4 minutes was too small, and then we stretched them back out again, and so this whole side area is a result of that expansion. And then also this whole side of the level was once fade to black, and they wanted to try to do away with fade to black completely, including in all the cave segments, and so we ended up building this whole foreground area that I'm hovering over now. Nonetheless, after this first set piece, when you come down, you've got an option of a few different paths. That was implemented by Rolly, I believe, did the scripting to this. And so now you've entered the second lower area. See, this whole area between these two train trails, or train tracks, are lower, and these two are up above. And so now you're down on the tracks going between them. You can see like tracks on the ground and things. I was hoping to put a lot of spark effects in here, but I didn't do the effects in this level, and we didn't really get a lot of sparks going on, although I'm not sure it would have made sense with the hobos living down here anyway to have the tracks all electric. But you know, in a world where you had infinite time, it'd be neat to build a bunch of assets that they're using the power in the tracks to run their hobo society, and it's kind of like their power plant. But that is something I literally just thought of now, so a little bit too late at this point. Anyway, moving on, you've got an encounter here with the Karate Klutz. Then you come to this second set piece here, where I've taken, this isn't modeled at all. This is just all the little pieces. Like these, if I control shift click here, are just the wall caps. And then the rest of the wall pieces are just regular wall pieces. And these are diagonal wall pieces. And so this whole collapsed pillar here is actually just made up of the pieces that already exist. and you've got like rocks just wedged into there that are just big rocks that you see in the rest of the level. And so this is part of what I was talking about in an earlier video, where you can just take regular assets and with enough creative placement kind of build these neat set pieces and things out of them, instead of having to have this stuff modeled, which saves the modeler's time if you don't have a particularly many of them, and also saves texturing a giant complex object because it's just recycling the textures that are already there. And in this case, where you've completely destroyed one of these things, the fact that like certain textures might not line up quite right, like between here and here, and between here and here, although you can't really see up that far, doesn't really matter because it's smashed, and so like you're not looking for absolute symmetry as a player when you're looking at that object. You're just going by it and you're like, oh, that's all smashed, and if the things don't line up quite right, then that's okay. Coming over further here, you get to this plunger where you've got a choice of a left or a right, where you can go through another little housing section over here. And last but not least, you come up onto these carts where you climb past another one of these hidden bars. And this is, I believe, the largest bar because it's got multiple tables and seats and things. So this might actually be the largest bar that we've built, unless you count the still in the beer level at the end of the beer level as a bar, because it has a bar, but it's not really. It's a beer production facility. You come up top here and blast your way into this room. And this room is shared with the next level. It originally wasn't, but, well, actually this here was built and you could see into the next level. And then we ended up building this, which actually ended up building into the next level. But we worked it out so that it's not overlapping. And that pretty much takes us through this whole thing. There's a sewer. The next level is a sewer section, so it's actually not more train depot. And I think at one point we really wanted to do a train station, but we had gotten kind of all the mileage out of just having two different cars. Because that's the thing, is like the entire set of train is like 3 different pieces of track, like a T shape, a cross shape, and a straight piece. And then we have only 2 cars, a regular car and a bent car. And so with only those handful of assets, making a train station like an elaborate like train stop, like a Grand Central Station sort of thing, kind of difficult. So the next section is a sewer section, and that ought to just about wrap things up here. Alright, well, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.